Welcome! Merry Christmas! So glad you stopped by. I'm Josh Duggar, the oldest of 19 kids and counting, and welcome to the Duggar home. Got a lot of things going on. It's a busy time of the year, and glad that you've had a chance to stop by and to say hello. We've got Jana over here working on some of our, this is kind of our mail room. What you got, Jana?
We're working on sending out some Christmas cards and then just, getting the mail in.
A lot of people, I know a lot of us ordered gifts in for our siblings, so you got a lot of those coming in. A lot of gifts we're sending out to people all over the world. So a lot of Christmas cards have came in. We've got different things here you can see from people all over the world, literally, that they have given us gifts.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, July 12th, 2023. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Well, I was going to just pack it up for the night, but I guess there's some more things we need to talk about because apparently Josh Duggar is dealing with some misery in Seagoville. And for some reason, the idea of him being miserable makes me happy. I know that's a weird thing to say, but Josh is one of the most hated human beings on the planet, at least on this channel, because of his decisions. And apparently life in Texas is not all it's cracked up to be because it's super hot and the circumstances that he currently finds himself in are apparently unbearable. It's a new report from the Sun, and I know, everyone's like, the Sun is just a rag. But sometimes I just feel like, they do get their sources. And I've heard a lot about Seagoville, like only a couple of the buildings actually have air conditioning. I also heard that once the raid happened, once he was found with a phone and he was put in isolation, they apparently locked everything down and did a full sweep of all of the phones, and they got rid of tons of contraband because Josh's situation was creating security issues because people were contacting reporters and all of these leaks were happening, and they apparently wanted to get that all cracked down because apparently it doesn't look good for the prison system when all these people are leaking information about an inmate. But when they got all of those phones, they also apparently, according to a source I recently talked to, switched up all of the houses. Josh had previously been housed in a building that had air conditioning, but I don't think he's in a unit now that has air, and it's apparently super hot in Texas right now. So let's dive into this. Before we do, can you please do me a big favor and give this video a thumbs up? Also, please subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed by clicking on the subscribe button down below. Click on the bell so you can get notified of any time I go live or new content loads. And if you'd like to leave a comment, leave one and share this video with your friends. Okay, so it says that he is unbearable. Josh Duggar is suffering from prison heat waves as there are no air conditionings and prisoners are passing out. Okay, so it says Josh Duggar has been suffering from a prison heat wave. Inmates have no air conditioning and are passing out. This is according to a concerned loved one. I'm assuming this is a loved one of someone that is at Seagoville. There's this group on Facebook that has family members of people at Seagoville, and maybe it's from that group, I'm not sure. But they said that the Sun can exclusively report from a loved one in contact with inmates at the prison that certain prisoners have been living with no air conditioning as temperatures have reached over 100 degrees in Dallas, Texas. A loved one from Seagoville told the U.S. Sun, Texas is having record-breaking heat waves. Most of the buildings in Seagoville don't have air conditioning for the inmates. The other loved ones are sharing how inmates are passing out. The buildings that do have air conditioning run on generator power. The insider continued, the electricity keeps going in and out because of the generator overload. When it's working, it's relatively cool though. In recent weeks, it's been in the 90s and 100s, and the highest expected is to hit 108. A spokesperson from Seagoville actually responded to a comment by the Sun, and it said, "It is true that FCI Seagoville has some housing units without AC. We do have some with it. In the units without AC, there are rooms within those units where inmates can sit in AC, as we have TV and computer rooms that give them a chance to cool down. Additionally, in those housing units, we have fans to circulate the air. All housing has ice available to inmates." I always think it's funny that, it's so hot, you guys, and it's really unbearable, but this is prison. And I don't know if you guys know, but prisons are paid by taxpayers, and air conditioning is expensive. And I know that most units in this world should have air conditioning, but if taxpayers are paying for it, do you really care if people like Josh have AC or not? I know. Not all the people there are like Josh. Maybe they could just put all of the people like Josh without air conditioning, maybe? Then it would be different. I don't know. But so Seagoville says, we have ice, we have fans. And it says, while FCI Seagoville did have an issue with power outages back a few months, we have not had any power-related issues affecting AC lately. And they ended by saying, FCI Seagoville was built in the late 1930s and has had additions of new housing units and programs building since. All those newer areas have AC. Okay, so because this facility is very old, not all the units have AC. The newer buildings have AC, the older buildings don't. You know, Seagoville, of all of the prisons in this world, is not the worst one. You know, sometimes I wonder if the people that are reporting on this really think that this facility is that bad. There are far worse facilities that he could be at. Do you guys remember in Arizona that sheriff that used to put people out in camps in tents in Arizona in the summer? And y'all know that like Phoenix gets into like 120s, and they would have people laying out in camps in tents on bunk beds in Arizona. I understand that it's harsh conditions for Josh, but to me, it's like you're in prison. This is actually what prison is. Yes, you should be treated with humanity, you should be treated well, but like, let's be honest. There's millions of people around the world and around the country rather that live every single day without air conditioning. Air conditioning is actually a luxury, and if you can afford it, good for you. We can afford it, and I'm glad, but not everyone can. There's people that live in the tropics of all over the world that don't have AC, that live in poverty. Millions of people across the globe live without air conditioning, and they survive. Apparently, on top of that, it says there are no hot water for days. It says they go without electricity or heating for days, even when a big cold front came through Texas. They didn't have any hot water for days at a time. They've been through 6 generators in the past 6 weeks because they keep burning them out instead of just fixing the electricity. Conditions go down into the 50 when the heat goes out. Okay, but it's summer right now. And then apparently the food is gross too. So the food they get is regularly expired. They're just like really disgustingly expired, always by at least a couple of weeks. And it's like milk, all sorts of stuff that can be expired for that long. Someone did tell me that the food is super gross at Seagoville, but most people, if they can, don't eat at Chow, and they just live off commissary. So they purchase food through the commissary, which is like a little market that they can get for their own, and then they make their own food. But if you would have to live on the expired food, I guess, again, that would be hard. But again, there are people starving across the globe. It's one of the biggest issues for children in this world is not having enough food. And if an inmate has to eat some expired food, I'm not going to feel bad for them. And then apparently the cells are really crammed. So it says all of the beds touch each other, and there are bunk beds, and it's small, it's dirty, and they do have cleaning supplies for the cells. Like they mop it and they keep it clean, but they have to share water among the entire dorm. So it's super disgusting by the time anyone gets to use it. It's dirty. That's because apparently the showers are gross. There's mold all up in the mattresses. It's really gross. Oh. Okay, I actually talked to someone whose loved one was there, and they said that the inmates keep their cells extremely clean. They have rules about keeping it extremely clean. So, I don't know. It sounds to me like a loved one that's just feeling really emotional about their loved one. And I get it. It would be hard to have a loved one in these kinds of conditions. But at the same time, like, they broke the law. They're in a facility that's being paid for by taxpayers. It costs us money as taxpayers to house these inmates. And yes, their conditions are not the best, but there are people literally living around the globe in worse conditions. They also mentioned that there was a nationwide lockdown last year because of a fight in another Texas prison. During that, the plumbing got so bad that people were literally shitting in the corners of the hallways because they couldn't go to the bathroom. When my family member takes a shower, a lot of times dirty shower water from like the shower above him will come down on him. There's hot water sometimes, but not all the time. Anyways, so Josh Duggar and the inmates in Seagoville are miserable. It's very hot. There's no air conditioning. The food is gross. The beds are dirty, and the showers are disgusting. I don't feel bad for Josh. I really don't. You know, there is something to be said about our prison systems and how old these buildings are. But it's also extremely expensive to build new prisons. I mean, I guess I feel bad in a sense that, like, every single person should be taken care of. But at the same time, like, again, there's millions of people across the country every day in the United States that don't have enough food to eat. They cannot find housing. They're homeless. They don't have rent. They can't pay their rent. These guys at least have a house. They have a roof over their heads. They have food that they can eat, even if it's expired. They can take a shower, even if the water isn't hot. A lot of the things that they're complaining about are luxuries. And frankly, Josh Duggar doesn't deserve any luxuries right now. He does have Anna in Texas, maybe, but we still aren't sure about that. And I guess Jim Bob is still paying for his appeals. You know, it's really strange, you guys. Someone was telling me that Josh's appeals, like the appeals court can basically respond at any time and they can make a ruling at any time. It's up to them to decide when they want to rule on this. And they went before the appeals court in February and they still haven't made a ruling, and it's July 12th. Someone told me that we would likely expect to hear something this month because the average appeals case, they take about 5 months to rule. But the appeal was heard on February 16th, so 5 months would be July 16th. Do you think we're going to hear something about Josh's appeal in the next 4 days? I don't know. I don't think his appeal is going to go through. I still think he's going to be denied. And then after the appeal gets denied, then what? What's Anna going to do? Is she going to accept the fact that he's going to be locked away for the next 9 years? And would she maybe actually leave him? Would she divorce him? Could you see Josh putting in a transfer, or Jim Bob putting in a transfer to get Josh out of there into a facility that has air conditioning because Josh is Josh Duggar and he needs luxuries? Because I've also heard a rumor that literally Josh Duggar walks around and says that Anna will never divorce him because he's Josh Duggar. You guys, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.